On this episode of The Barbershop, I'm going to tell you why I was wrong. I owed the fans an apology. And actually, to be truthful, I didn't even know I was in the wrong. We'll tell you why I was coming up next on this episode of The Barbershop. Welcome back on into the barbershop. It's your boy G Bush back at it again with another one. Want to thank everybody for supporting me over on Patreon. Want to thank every single person that is over there who's supporting me on Patreon. We're moving and shaking over there. The tremendous response has been tremendous, and we'll continue to do our special Patreon videos over there. We have 2 up right now. So if you do sign up for Patreon, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to get the first and second only videos, the barbershop videos only on Patreon. You'll be able to get those. Those are up right now. I'll be dropping another one of those within the next couple of days, probably by tomorrow. So you have 3 bonus episodes over there if you're interested in that bonus content. And also, this is the big thing, the Twitter Spaces, man. That's the big one. We got Twitter Spaces coming up in less than a week. So if you guys want to be a part of that exclusive Twitter Spaces, make sure you go to Patreon, support the channel, and we'll be able to get you added onto that Twitter Spaces. The first one's going to be coming up on Friday at 8 o'clock. So that's 1 week from today. Friday the 21st, we will be doing Twitter Spaces. Will answer your questions. This is specifically for you guys. We can stick to football. We can stick to any other different things that you guys want to talk about. That is only for members. We want to get those numbers up over there. So if you want to get those bonus content, you also want to get the Twitter Spaces, which is coming up, the first one and the 22nd. Make sure you sign up on Patreon. Make sure you continue to subscribe to the Barbershop channel on YouTube. And if you would like to, you can also donate on and support us on Cash App and PayPal, paypal.me/GBush91, Cash App at $GBush91. You can scan the QR code and they'll take you right to it. But let's get off into today's video, and what we wanted to talk about today is reevaluating my mindset. There's been some things that has transpired in the last couple of days that have made me really rethink and go back and kind of think about some of the areas and the different paths and what I got into the game for. Understanding what the media's job in media is, and understanding what the fans' objective is, and understanding, your place in between the fans, the media, the teams, the individuals. So one thing that I'm have been dealing with as of late was just the simple fact that I never really truly thought of myself as a media guy. I played baseball in high school. I was going to play it in college, as well as playing football. I played varsity basketball, played at a really good school, Cam McKinley, number 1 all-time in wins in college, high school basketball for wins, multiple state championships. Cam McKinley football, 2-time state champion. Back-to-back 1997-98 USA Today national champions in 1997. Played with a lot of great players. I'm in my high school Hall of Fame. I've done a lot of cool things with the Ohio Youth played football. So my experience as a football player, to me, and as an athlete, has always been ingrained in me in the core. And I've always found it a little bit difficult to kind of relate to media members who have not done or have not played the game at an elevated level. Not because I look down on their knowledge base, it's because so much of what I've learned from the game of football or basketball or baseball came from team sports. And in those team sports, you learn a lot of different things. You learn how to persevere. You learn how to go to school. You learn how to go to class when you don't even really want to do nothing. Your body's tired. You learn how to persevere through injuries. I've had 17 surgeries, 2 ACLs, neck surgery, back surgery, all those things. I'm not saying that to wear that as a badge, but what I am saying is I've experienced some things, and then as an athlete, your experience is different from what it could be in the industry. And so for me in the industry, it's a little difficult. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes where narratives and tropes come out, I have a difficult time understanding where they came from, and I have a difficult time um, trying to go about it professionally besides saying that's a bunch of BS. Like, where'd y'all get that from? Who told y'all that? And for me, I had to realize and reevaluate where I was at. Right now, I've been in the game since 2011, right? 2011, 2012 is when I started. I started interning at ESPN in Cleveland in 2010. I started my internship there in 2010. I graduated from Ohio Media School in 2011. Now, I've been there. That if you do the math, that puts me as 2023. I've been in the game roughly 12 or 13 years. If you think about that, that's almost a longer period I've been in the media than I was playing any of the sports. I started playing baseball when I was 6 years old. I'm 41 right now, right? So, as an adult, I stopped playing sports at a competitive level when I was 25. So, that gives you, 6 years. What is it, 21 year? No, 6 years is 20. I'm not the math precludes me, but I've been roughly in the same time as I've been in the game, in the media game, as I have been an athlete. And so I had to start looking and reevaluating the way I kind of look at stuff. I had a conversation. As if you don't know, I'm on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show every single day from 11 to 1. And I was on there with Jason Lloyd and Adam the Bull. And we're having a conversation about Emoni Bates, right? And one of the things that happened in that conversation that I felt was, I felt they were a little dismissive of, was the fact that they've already written this kid's narrative and his story. And they've already written it to a certain extent that he's not going to be in the league this year. He's not going to, it's a very small percentage chance that he's going to do anything. That, if he was any good, somebody else would have took him. And all of these different things kind of creep into the narrative. And me as a player, I kind of balk and push back against that a little bit. Because as a player, I understand that what it is to be a long shot. I understand what it is to be putting that work in. I understand that being out there at the 6 o'clocks and the 2 o'clocks and doing all the lifting and flipping tires and still doing all that other different type of stuff. And I understand it as an individual that plays this game. Like, you put a lot into it. So for me, I'm always thinking of in terms of, from an athlete's perspective, of you can't never tell a person what they're going to be. You can never tell them how hard they're going to work and what they may be when they get, to another level. Everybody has levels and places they need to get. But here's when we get to the title of my I owe you guys an apology. I feel like as you get in the media, sometimes the things the media does, it permeates you. It shapes the way you think. It molds you. It crafts you. It's neither nature or nurture. Are we creatures of what we are, of habit, or are we creatures of our own environment? Are we predestined for certain things, or are we just a product of where we are? And so when you are an athlete, you think one way, but when you get in the media, you can also develop some of the thought processes that you didn't even like to start with. And one of those things is, I'm always going to be real with you. I'm always going to tell you how I feel. You're real. But I also have to tell you in a way that allows you to be who you are. And that is a fan. Sometimes we attack the fans because they have a rosy colored view of what it may be. They may think a person, is better than what they actually are in reality. Sometimes they cheer and really go and support their teams in the midst of being like, wow, this coach is terrible, or we need a new franchise quarterback, or man, who do we need to draft? Besides that. And I realized that me as a media member, my job number one is to tell what's going on. But also, I have to be a person who wears multiple hats. I need to be able to tell a conversation. I need to be an entertainer. I need to be a philosopher. I need to be, the circus master. I need to be a person that can analyze information and data. I need to be a historian. I need to be a person that is a data collector. I needed to wear all these hats. And all of those hats that I wear are for one function. And that function is to entertain and to tell. And so without the fans and their optimism, without the fans and their fanaticism, without the fans clicking on stories, wanting to know more about their favorite teams, wanting to know about rookies that probably will never play, wanting to know about guys that are in your minor league systems that could, either be left in the minors forever or be the next, next great pitcher like, Nolan Ryan, whether it's, him or Tom Glavine or Smoltz or any of those great guys. My job is to get you excited about it. My job is to get you to think about it. My job is to get you to imagine. And I think sometimes in our industry, from the conversation that I had concerning Emoni Bates, it sparked a period of reevaluation. It sparked a period of looking within and understanding, okay, and analyzing, okay, where am I on this spectrum? Because everybody has a spectrum. And sometimes you need recentered. And when we were having the Emoni Bates conversation, and we kept coming back to the sticking point of the sticking point was people believe just because you're excited about an individual doesn't mean that you have unrealistic expectations. That's what people are conflating. As a fan, I can get excited about a player if only he just gives me hope. And as a fan, that's the major part. As a Cleveland fan, you've supported your team through thick and thin. You've wore those jerseys. You've been to the tailgates. You've watched these games with your father. The Cleveland Browns are a part of your family because sometimes that's the only thing you got left to make you remember that you had you and your wife, who maybe passed away, is no longer with us. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's your father who first turned the television on and was explaining about what Jim Brown meant to him. Maybe it was the fact that you were there with 99 when they came back and you thought you'd never see your team again, and you were able to get the colors back, and you were able to we knew it wasn't the same team, but we just knew. All of those things are part of being a fan. And I think it's unfair for any media member, including myself, to try to strip a fan of what he is here to do. And that is to be a fan. That is to be optimistic, even if it's unrealistic. That's just part of the game. And my job is to entertain that individual and to get that individual to win, lose, or draw, wake up the next day and want to hear something about their favorite team. And I think that's what people are missing. It's the energy level that went into sports talk. Sports talk is dying. And it's dying because we say things in the media like the preseason doesn't count. Who cares about Summer League? I'm not going to watch the Pro Bowl or the draft. As a matter of fact, the only thing that counts is the playoffs. As a matter of fact, you know what? The only thing matters is a quarterback. If you don't have a franchise quarterback, all the other positions don't count. Running back, why would we draft that guy? Why would they pay all those guys those money? The only we've been we've been reduced to and stripped of our imaginations, stripped of our passions, stripped of our energy. When I got in this game, because I love sports and I love talking about it. I love talking about it on the streets. I love talking about it in the city. I love talking about it in the barbershop. I love talking about it whenever I could get my hands on the information, whether that was reading Streets and Smith magazines, whether that was collecting baseball cards, whether that was listening to sports talk radio to some of the greatest to do it, whether I was watching, whether it's Les Levine, whether it was Bruce Drennan, whether it was the BSK Big Sports Kahuna, Kenner Lewis, whether it was Ronnie Duncan back in 19, whether it was Casey Coleman, whether it was Nev Chandler or Jim Donovan, all these great guys. I enjoyed Keith Jackson, the way he told a story, or the way Madden had 3 turkey drums, or the way that Pat Summerall can, in one word, eclipse a whole sentence, and it was just magnificent. Irvin, touchdown. You knew all you needed to know. When Brett Murphsberger says, from the banks of the Olentangy, it's the Buckeyes. Listen, come on, man. We love that. We got into it because of that. But it died. Somewhere between here and debates, it died. Somewhere here before the word hot take was invented, we died. Somewhere between welcome into the jungle with Jim Rome and it's a smack off, we died. Somewhere before, when the regular season games used to count, when you was a kid and you stayed up and just wanted a glimpse to see if the Cavs could beat Michael Jordan, those games counted. But we stripped everything away. The pump, the circumstances. Heck yeah, the game. And I'm sorry for saying that the playoffs don't count. Or excuse me, the regular season counts and the playoffs do. I'm sorry for saying spring training is for the birds. I'm sorry for saying, you know what, that kid, he's garbage. He's 19 years old. I don't know what he's going to do, but they should have drafted him. I'm sorry for pouring cold water on what the lifeblood of this industry is, which is the speculation, the gut feeling that, wow, this kid could be somebody, the hope that he could be somebody, the hope that this guy could be the guy that you drafted, you brought him in, you cultivated him, you went through growing pains, you went through ups and downs, smiles and frowns, and one day you got there to hold the trophy. That one day, even if you drafted a guy and he was the number 1 overall pick, that he would actually stay. Even though you've seen LeBron and Kyrie and a lot of other people go and leave, I can't call you an idiot if you still want to believe that maybe one day somebody will fulfill that legacy. So for a lot of us in our industry, with the microphone, with the ability to tell stories, we should diversify and be able to tell lots of stories. Not just the stories of people that take L's, but the stories of people that were long shots that won. To tell the story about the fans, to tell the story about what the fan base means. I watched the other day, I was on TV, I was watching, going through my YouTube time machine, and I just watched, and I almost got teary-eyed because of the way I'm watching old Cleveland Browns games. And the stadium was a dump. They wore the white uniforms every week. The quarterback wasn't necessarily the fastest. They ain't getting no free agents. But you know what they had? They had the dog pound. They had heart. They had passion. They wanted to win. And the city and the players were in lockstep. You might have thought Bernie Kosar was the best quarterback in the world, but you know what you did say? On that Sunday, we was united around our quarterback. How many times can we say that in our community? I feel that we've been divided on every player. It don't even seem like it's a consensus on our player. What happened, and we gonna represent that dude no matter what. Baker Mayfield wasn't the first. Odell Beckham wasn't the first. You know, go back. Braylon Edwards wasn't the first. We were divided way back at Tim Couch. We were divided back then, even with our first overall draft pick, Tim Couch. And that's a shame. It's a shame. Because we was always stronger together. When the dog pound, when the Browns community was moving in lockstep, you couldn't tell us nothing. Yeah, we had a dump. And then we had one of the worst stadiums in the game, but you know what we was? That was our dump. And it was one of the loudest dumps. And guess what? The players felt like we going to accept that too. Yeah, the people who support us don't got no money. But guess what? They represent us. They feel like us. And so I ask you guys, when can we get back to that? And the first step to getting back to that is admitting if you fell off the wagon a little bit. It's not my job to tell you who's great all the time. I probably could tell you who I think is really good and who probably won't make it. But in the scheme of things, what does that matter? It matters some. Don't get me wrong. You can't be a Kool-Aid drinker forever. But one thing you can do is paint the best picture you can. Sometimes it'll be smiles. Sometimes it'll be frowns. Sometimes you'll cry. But at least you could do it in lockstep with the people that count to you. At the end of the day, people say that these games don't count in the preseason and practice don't count and all of the downtime and all of the small little minimoski stuff that happened in the offseason. But just think about it. In your life as a human, we only got about 3 or 4 major things that happen in our life, just like football. Football during a year, you only get maybe 16 days, 17 days guaranteed to you to go out there and do something you truly love, which is the game. But the rest of that season contributes to your success in those games. It's just like life. You're going to have milestones. You're going to get married. You're going to have your first home. You buy your first car, really expensive one that you always wanted. You become a first-time homeowner. You become a first-time mother or father or parent. But at the same time, other things start happening. You become a first-time parent, then you lose a parent. You old enough to watch your kids grow up to you see those kids leave. You grow up feeling invincible the way that the game made you feel on Sundays. And you get older and you might not even be able to make it to halftime because you're tired and you got old, right? Before you nod off, watch the Browns. So life is all about those small little victories and small little practices, because that is what life is about. Finding meaning, finding a way to get up and go to work and do it every single day between the highs and the lows, the really big highs and the really big lows. So for the fans out there of Cleveland, cheer for your team. If you like Deshaun Watson, cheer for him. Do we know he's going to be any good next year? Who knows? But the best part about it is we get to hear and speculate about it. We get to talk about it. And to me, that is why I got into this game. It's why I'm here. And sometimes you got to reevaluate and go back and ask yourself, why did I get into this game? Why am I here for? And what do you want to get out of it? Nobody wants to win more than I do. I wear my heart and emotions on my sleeves because I like to call myself the triumvirate. I'm all three. I started off as an athlete at a high level. I transitioned to the media and had to learn the difference between being fair, critical, optimistic, and being a Kool-Aid drinker. But at the core of any of that, I'm always a fan. I love the game. I love what the game teaches you. I love sports. I love watching it. If I watch practice if they got it, right? And most of all, I love talking to the fans. So, guys out there in the media, my fellow brethren, yes, we have a responsibility to tell the truth, but sometimes we got to let people have hope. We got to let people dream, and we got to let people enjoy. And at the end of the day, that's what we all here to do. With that being said, we want to thank everybody who subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to Patreon. Don't forget, coming up July 22nd, I want to see all you guys there in Twitter Spaces for the barbershop. We got some people right now have already signed up. They punched their ticket. You do the same thing. You can also donate on and support the barbershop at paypal.me/gbush91 and also $GBush91 on Cash App. Follow me, Patreon. The link will be in the description. PayPal's in the description. Everything will be in the description with thank you coming up. And we'll have our second step to our Patreon video dropping as well. And you know what it is. You never know when G Bush going to pull up. All you got to do is listen for the Clippers. Peace.